learning and solar family life as well, then what does the long-term picture of the effects of sort of homeschooling look like, right? I think a lot of parents might kind of have that as a question. So in your view, what strengths or challenges do homeschooled children or students sometimes bring with them long term as they go on in their career, say into college or into the workforce even?
Yeah, I think one of the strengths that's often comes out of it is a love of learning, self confidence, and really like independent motivation. I think one of the struggles that we see for a lot of students that come out of traditional high school settings where it was, especially if the parents are always like, do your homework, do this, do this, and the school is set up that way as well. You get to college, and if you don't turn something in, nobody's going to follow up with you. You're going to get a zero and then move on. So, for a child that was kind of in the driver's seat for their own homeschool education, they're going to have that more internal motivation that will help them succeed. The other side of that, however, and to speak to my own personal experience, I was not homeschooled, but I did go to a progressive education private schooling, elementary through high school, more of a non-traditional setting. We had outdoor classes and much smaller class sizes, less homework, less tests, that kind of stuff. And I went to a big university for college. I found those large lecture classes really difficult. I didn't know how to sit there silently for an hour and take notes. That was not a skill that I learned. And looking back, I don't feel that it's a skill that I need. To be honest, it's not something I've really used in my career, but I really thrived in those small seminar classes in college. And I think that's what drove me as well to pick a smaller major where most of my classes were 9 or 10 kids. And it was discussion based. That's the academic environment that I grew up in and that I knew I thrived in. So I think also understanding that not all colleges are the same, but also not all college classes are the same. Not all majors are the same. You may choose to go to a college that is smaller classes, that is more discussion based, more of that seminar style. Or you may choose to go to a larger university like I did, where I had to really hunt for those classes. They're there, but I had to really search for them because that's how I knew how to learn. And so for me, I found that that was a strength. I was a confident speaker. I always contributed to discussions, learned active listening and all of those skills rather than passively taking notes. But they did make those larger lecture classes very difficult for me. So I think it goes both ways.
I can relate to that. I went to, also, I was not homeschooled, but I did go to, from seventh grade through 12th grade, I went to a small independent private school, all girls school, very small class sizes. My graduating class was 27 students. So
Wow.
we're talking within our classroom classes, I had like 6 to 10 peers. So it was a lot of obviously smaller individualized attention. They really, being an all girls school, they obviously really encouraged obviously the self confidence and taking your learning into your own hands and be speaking up and leadership. And so I took on a lot of those roles, leadership roles, peer advisory, and all those things that also then tend to look good for college applications. But same thing when it came time for college, I completely avoided the large schools. I went for very much smaller schools and ended up with a kind of a great combination of both. I went to Pitzer College, which is a small school, but within the Claremont colleges. So there's actually 5 colleges on campus. So I actually got to kind of have a little bit of the best of both worlds. But I went to visit a friend who went to the University of Washington. My freshman year, I had a break and I went to one of her classes and there were 500 students in the class, in the lecture, and the professor was way down in the front with a microphone on. And and I was so overwhelmed. I was like, whoa, this would never have worked for me. I would not have done well here. So yeah, I think there are, depending on the environment, there's certainly things that can go both ways.